Hey everyone, today we are going to start a new series on GraphQL. Many of you have heard this GraphQL while talking to your peers, or you must have heard it online. It's a kind of buzzword these days. People are moving from REST to GraphQL. GraphQL was published by Facebook a few years back. Today we'll talk about GraphQL, and this is going to be a series of videos in which we'll go through in detail GraphQL. So let's start. What is GraphQL and why we are reading it today? So GraphQL is a query language for your APIs. So it's not like REST. Okay. You can query it. Let me give you an example how you can query it. So in REST API, we just call to get and the body. We put it in raw, or in it can be in binary or in URL encoded or form or through the URL. In Postman, this has been recently added GraphQL, where you can add your GraphQL queries as well. Okay, so GraphQL is a query language for APIs, and it's a runtime for fulfilling those queries with your existing data. GraphQL provides a complete and understandable description of the data in your API. It gives clients the power to ask for exactly what they need and nothing more. So what is meant by giving power back to the client? What is so in typical example, whatever response we get, we cannot control what we want. But in case of GraphQL, you can control how much you want to receive. Like in REST, everything is written at one go. Client doesn't have power to say, hey, I only need 2 data or 2 column, not the whole response. But in GraphQL, it is possible to say so. Okay. So that's a small intro to GraphQL. Let's see some more example on how it's different. And it is open source as well, as I said in the beginning. So a typical GraphQL query looks like this, in which we have query, and here I'm asking some user information and what all fields I need and what all I will provide. And in the HTTP response, this is how I will get. Now remember, it is always post. It's not get, it is not put, it is not patch, it is always post in case of GraphQL. Okay. Normal HTTP REST looks like this, where we have get or post. If I need to update something, I'll call through put update user. If I need to insert, I'll call through post insert user. And so we have multiple endpoints, but in GraphQL we have just single endpoints for everything. We don't need multiple endpoints. Okay, so any client will need to call only a single GraphQL endpoint. Like in REST APIs, we have multiple endpoints. When I say endpoints, it means the REST APIs that you call. Those are the endpoints. Okay, like in this example, so if you have to get something from user, I'll call a get from user. Then if I need to get something from person or get something from accounts, I need to call 3 different endpoints. But in case of GraphQL, you just need to call one. Similarly, if I need to insert, update, or delete, I need to call different REST API endpoints. But in case of GraphQL, only one endpoint will be called. Here you can see if you need to get movies or directors. In case of REST, I need to call /movie for movies, /director for directors. But in case of GraphQL, only one instance /GraphQL, and the query will decide whether I need movies or directors. And also I can get movies and director together. Like we can combine the query for 2 REST APIs. So it reduces the multiple endpoints call. So it means you have to call single, and multiple queries can be generated for you. So the power is given back to the clients. So some of the drawbacks, like overfetching, whatever I don't need, that also I need to I'm getting in the REST, in case of REST. But in case of GraphQL, I can avoid the overfetching. So far we have seen what is GraphQL, what is REST API, what is the difference between GraphQL and RESTQL. And as I have said in the beginning, that GraphQL gives only one endpoint for the client to consume. Okay, so for if you want to get something or update something or delete something, you just need to call one single API, and rest of the part needs to be taken care by mutation or query. Now, what is mutation and what is query? So mutation you will use if you need to insert, update, or delete something. Okay, like how we had post, patch, put, etc. in case of REST APIs. But in GraphQL, it is always a single endpoints, and with mutation you can add, update, or delete something. Okay. So let's see. I will try to insert this record in the table. So I have a table in which there is 11 rows right now. Let me try to insert using mutation. So as you can see, I have inserted something on this new value, and if I will check the database right now, it has the 12 row. Okay. Now, if I want, I can control like key is not I'm returning, but if I want, I can return the key as well. Now, to do this change, I don't need to do anything. Like client can decide what data it needs to consume. So it gives the power to the client who is consuming, and the only required data I can consume, it will reduce the network load and which will improve the performance. Like in REST, in case of REST, client doesn't have any power to control the outcome, but in case of GraphQL, client have that power that it can control what data it needs to consume. Okay. Now let's see what is query. Okay. So a typical query in GraphQL looks like this. Okay. So here I can get something. Let me try to show one by one. Okay. So query is used to query, like it is like get. Okay. And with the same endpoint, I am not changing the endpoint, but I am able to get also. Okay. And here, as I shown previously, you can control what you want. Okay. So if I want only UUID and name, I can just call it. I will get just two values. Okay. Now, suppose business comes with a new requirement which says that you need to return along with student some school details, or along with employees the company details. So I don't need to call separate API, or I don't need to write separate API. I can just query for the another data as well. Okay, so it is possible to execute more than one query, and I'll get see the second query results here. First query result is here. Okay, so this is the power of GraphQL, which is not at all possible in case of REST. In case of REST, you cannot do multiple queries. Also, it is not controlled by client. Whatever server gives you, you have to accept it, whether you like it or not. But in case of GraphQL, client gets all the power to execute the queries, whatever. Okay, based on need, I can execute single or I can execute multiple queries. So that's the power of GraphQL. Single endpoint, you can execute as many things as you want. Okay. And the other thing that I told you is with the same endpoint, you can insert, update, or delete as well. And how insert, update, or delete happens? That happens with mutation. Okay. Now, guys, we'll do more series and more videos on GraphQL. So stay tuned with Software Circle YouTube channel. How it's done through Java code, I will try to explain in future videos. If you have any query related to GraphQL implementation in Java and Spring, I'll try to do that as well. Okay. So thank you so much, viewers.